Hey there everybody, it is Hunter Munter here, back with episode 3 of the TF2 trading tips guides slash tutorial things that I've been doing on this channel, which have gone down quite good. In this episode we're going to be covering unusual trading and basically what to look out for, the tiers of effects, the tiers of hats, what classes are more like sought after, and stuff like that. But before I get into anything, this is not going to be for new traders. As for anybody who knows what unusual hats are, they're kind of like the highest points you can get to in TF2 trading. I don't have I don't have an unusual hat at the moment, but like I've decided to invest in this Huntsman, which the price is going to go up soon because of the crate 40, which this appears in, is disappearing. So I bought it for around 15 keys, 14 keys I think, and that should be going up soon, so I can get myself a nice unusual or a cheaper one, then trade up. But anyway, before I start, for anybody who doesn't know what an unusual hat is, it's a hat which is like that's got the item quality purple. It's like purple, but be careful not to be confused with haunted, which are worth nowhere near the amount of unusuals, and yeah, just be careful for that. And there are a few unusuals that for example, the unusual horseman's head taker, I think, horseless head, one of them. Basically it's like an axe, and that is not a proper unusual. Just stick to hats, unusual hats, for like the right stuff, and miscs, and stuff like that. So before I get started, I just want to say that thank you guys for the support on the last trading tips videos. They were definitely well accepted, received. I'm not sure what to say, but anyway, let's just get started. So unusual trading is kind of like the highest point you can get to on TF2. It contains a lot of things. There's a lot of things. It's basically, an unusual trading is a hat that is, like, for example, say take this pyromancer's hat. You'll have a hat like this, and then it'll have something called a particle effect. Now this will have this will be things for, like, there's one called nuts and bolts, and for example, nuts and bolts means it's like nuts and bolts spinning around your hat. There's also burning, which is like the highest tier effect, and it's kind of like your hat's on fire. There's scorching, where it's like green fire. And basically unusual hats have a bunch of effects. There's a wide range of various effects and stuff like that. Now, firstly, before I get into it, I'm going to say, to be honest, what am I about? If you pay a little bit more for your first unusual, then it's probably worth. Don't worry, because personally, I think it's okay to spend that few extra keys just to get into your first unusual, because you get into unusual trading, you'll be able to do one trades and stuff like that. So as you can see here, we got the classes. Now each class has kind of a cancer hat. Now I know it sounds quite bad calling it a cancer hat, but what it means is it's a hat, an unusual hat that the class has that nobody really wants. It's kind of like a bad hat, so cancer, like, sticks with you, for example. And there are quite a few hats that are classed as a cancer hat. Now, if you trade with these hats, unless they have a really good effect, they could have a really good effect, but still be worth bare minimum because of the hat. And I'd say that there are a few main ones for each class, and I'll go through those separately when I'm going through each class. But the list of classes that people more than they look for, I'd say heavy is kind of the worst. Nobody really wants a heavy hat because they're kind of I don't know. I'd say they're more than half of their hats are cancer hats, and a heavy hat might be like the first hat you get, because of how bad they kind of are. So when you first get into unusual trading, you might be getting yourself a heavy hat because it's quite bad. Then you move on to then you'll probably move on to something like a demo man, or maybe a bad engineer hat. I'd say after that you'll then probably move on to a sniper. I'd say, actually no, apart from that, no, scratch that. You'll move from probably these three up to a spy, which has some few cancer hats. And then you'll move on to probably the sniper. Then maybe something like the pyro. Then maybe this or the medic. Now I'd say the top bunch, like the top tiers of hats, are maybe scout and soldier, because I don't know why they're just like higher. And maybe the hats look good. I don't know what the phenomenon is and why, but I think the heavy hats aren't really liked because of the look of them. They don't really look too good, should we say, and stuff like that. So I'd say the main cancer hats for heavy, I'd say heavy has definitely the football helm. A nuts and bolts football helm is possibly the worst unusual in the game. It's obviously debated. But an unusual football helm. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this information out as quick as I can. An unusual nuts and bolts football helm, which is nuts and bolts is kind of the lowest effect. I'll get into those in a minute. An unusual one of those will go for around 10 to 12 keys, which is just above a bills to 12 keys, which is really bad. I mean, that hat is. If you get that hat, it's obviously going to be a lot harder to trade with. But then again, if you kind of like the nuts and bolts football helm, then that's quite good for you, because then you can use it. But I'd say another hat that's quite cancerous, like a cancer hat, I'd say is definitely the Magnificent Mongolian for the heavy. Trying to think of a few off the top of my head. Definitely the Mongolian, and maybe the hard counter, I'd say. I'll probably remember a few. The Officer's Ushanka is quite, it's say, one of the highest for heavy. I mean, heavy doesn't really have some of the greatest hats, but some people like a few of them and some people don't. I mean, it comes down to that. So next, I'd say definitely for the demo man, the cancer hat is probably the Capotane, which is the Carouser's Capotane. It's kind of like a wizard's hat thing. That's going to be your cancer hat. And I'd say for the engineer, either the engineer's cap or the buckaroos is going to be your cancer hats for those. Moving on to sniper, I'd say maybe your bloke's bucket is going to be your cancer hat. I'm not sure what else. Cancer, that's quite a bad hat, the bloke's bucket. Well, some people like it, I don't really like it that much. For the spy, I'd say maybe the backbiter's billycock, just because it's not really that wanted. I'd say for that. Moving on, I'd say for the medic, it'd be maybe the doctor's sack, or definitely the geisha boy. The geisha boy is kind of a really unwanted hat. I had that hat with green confetti, and nobody really wanted that. I'd say for pyro, it's definitely going to be the Statly Steel Toe, or I'd say, I don't know, I've seen a few people say they don't really like the Handyman's Handle, I think it's called. That's quite a unwanted hat, but I know some people like it, so yeah, so definitely the Statly Steel Toe. For soldier, I'd say, you know what, I actually don't know. I'd say maybe the soldier stash, but I mean, I don't think there's that many hats in soldier that are really cancerous. I mean, I'm not a very good, I haven't been on usual trading for long, but this is just going off what I know. I'd say for the scout, it's going to be either the whoopee cap, or the bombing run. Definitely the bombing run, because not many people like the bombing run. Now I'm moving on to effects. Now there are quite a few effects in the game, and there's different tiers. Like there's different tiers of hats. Like the top tier of hats is God hats, God tier, which is like, for example, the soldier has the Tyrant's helm as a God tier hat. The spy has the Charmer's Chaperoo, I think it's called, as kind of a God tier hat. The sniper has the Ye Old Snaggletooth as a good one. The sniper, sorry, excuse me. The pyro, I'd say, has the I'm not exactly sure, but I know a few. Like, I'd say for the scout it'd be El Jefe or Hel Jefe or whatever you want to call it, how you want to say it. I'd say definitely that. And for the medic, I'd say what could you say? I'd say maybe the Starnhelm or Blighted Beak. I know that's quite a wanted hat and stuff like that. And there's different tiers of effects. I'd say definitely the lowest tiers, like the ones that will bring a price down. It's definitely nuts and bolts. They're really unwanted. Flies, people don't like. The confettis are quite unwanted. Definitely the green confetti and purple confetti. I know a few people quite like the purple confetti, but to be honest, I don't really like them. I had a green confetti geisha boy, and that was a pain to get rid of. I definitely need to get a drink in a minute, but definitely moving on from that, I'd say bubbling is quite bad. Circling TF2 logo, peace logo. Steaming is quite bad. Smoking, orbiting fire. That's kind of the lowest tier. Then you'll move up to stuff like Blizzardly Storm, Stormy Storm. I don't know. I'd say definitely all hearts. I don't know whether your class has a higher tier effect. And you'll move on to the higher tier effects, which will be Scorching, Vivid Plasma, Sunbeams, Gifted Sunbeams, I meant. Stuff like I don't know, green, is it green energy? And definitely Scorching, not Scorching, Burning is going to be the highest. And unusual trading is kind of best to do with one-on-ones. Definitely be careful with what you're trying to get. Obviously all class hats will go for a lot more, like the Modest Pile of Hat. I'd say the most expensive hat in the game is going to be the Team Captain, which goes for 5 buds, earbuds, as I think I've spoke about that in the other videos. That goes for around 5 buds, with nuts and bolts, which is arguably one of the worst effects. But, you know, I mean, I haven't had a lot of trading experience. I don't know how long I've been recording for, so I'm going to try and make this as quick as I can. But definitely, I'd say be careful. Make sure hats are not duped. I can go into duping on another video, but I mean, the first unusual hat I had was a unusual Carouser's Capotane with masked flies for the demo man, and I actually really liked that hat because it was quite nice. It was my first unusual, and I bought that for 19 keys. It wasn't worth that. I mean, really, a Carouser's Capotane masked flies is not really worth about 19 keys. And then I moved on to a Backbiter's Billycock with Orbiting Planets. Oh yeah, that's another one. Orbiting Planets is kind of a mid-tier effect. I had Orbiting Planets. That kind of boosted it up to around 20 keys value. Like, the hat was worth 20 keys. I had a hat that was probably worth like 14, 15 keys. Up to a 20 key hat. A one-on-one trade. And you just go on trade servers. Unusual trade servers, probably the best. And what else? I mean, I moved on. I mean, I then sold that hat for a bunch of keys. I then bought a... Oh, what else did I have? I can't even remember now. I think I've had the unusual Geisha Boy and stuff like that. And definitely go do one-on-ones. I'm going to try and end this video here. Hopefully these are a few tips on what to look out for. I can do another video of this soon, explaining a whole bunch of stuff to do with unusuals. And if you want to ever add me up on Steam, my name is Hunter Munter, and hopefully I can help you guys out with a few things. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stick around, give this video a like for more TF2 trading tips, and I have a kind of an idea for an unusual trading series. Maybe you would like to see it. I'll do that in another video. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later, and don't forget to subscribe for more trading tips, videos, everything else. So I'll see you guys later.